Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thanks for being here. We got a great crowd. Always amazed how many people come back, people that I've just met recently or people that's been here for years. So it's always good. Leah does a fantastic job every year of doing a different agenda of items that she thinks would be beneficial to y'all or things that are new or things that we're trying to implement. So each year is different, which is great. And I like that. But also it's you can ask any other questions you may not know that have been policies and procedures for years, and that's what I'll be here to help do. We have Richard Settle who's going to be here talking about our resident portal and how it's going now and what we still hope for it to become in the future. We're going to have Jennifer come and talk and just a little bit about the kitchen renovations. She's going to show you some pictures of the inside of the modular kitchen that you've seen out there. And when we hope to get started, we're in the process of getting all of our inspections done for plumbing, electrical, mechanical, all those things. It's just taking a lot of time. But once we get that going, we'll get rolling with the construction and actually using the kitchen. And then Carrie Corley is going to come and speak about Action Pact. Y'all probably heard me use the term Action Pact before. They're the consulting company that we'll be using for the next 2 years to help us transform our health center into this household model. They were the company that actually invented and created this household model about 20 years ago. They're based out of Milwaukee. And now over 1,000 communities use this new model, which we'll be implementing. So the whole idea is we're building this model to provide person-centered care and in a household setting, and then they're the company that tells you how to actually do it. So it would be no point in building or constructing this beautiful multi-million-dollar renovation to our health center, but we don't run it the way it was built. So we're contracting with them. A lot of communities have used them before and you really can't do it without them. I could tell you how it works, but making it work is a different thing. So our friends over in Cary, Glen Eyre, they've been using them for about 3 years now. Arbor Acres in Winston-Salem, Penny Burn up in High Point. They were one of the first ones to do it. They run like a well-oiled machine up there. It's amazing. So there's a lot of communities, about less than 10 in North Carolina, that are doing it. But when a lot of communities are renovated or if they're being constructed from new, and they are really into providing the best care possible in the health center, they are going to this model, which is really neat. So I'm going to try to stay on track here. I have a couple of things that I was going to go over with everyone before we get in, of just some questions that I've been asked about. So I thought I'd go over those first. Then I'll let all of our speakers talk, and then afterwards I'll answer as many questions as I can. I may not know the answer to everyone, but I promise I'll write it down and I'll try to get you an answer. So the first one, I just want to let you know, we do a monthly memo every month. We try to get it out on the first every month, but it's probably going to be Monday or Tuesday before y'all get that. Just hang tight. We've just had I'll take the blame for it. Everybody's pretty much got their stuff submitted, but I try to add some stuff to it, and I've just not been able to get to that. So it may be over the weekend before I can get that done. So just hang tight with the memo. We try to provide stuff that's really we think's informational or beneficial to y'all on a monthly basis, and I try to write about something that I think y'all will find interesting about the industry or about Springmore, and just kind of keep you up to date with what's going on. So that may be a few days late. I do have this over here. If y'all may have seen this before, it is 50 frequently asked questions about Springmore. Our Director of Social Services in the Health Center, Kelly Sullivan, when she was getting her master's at NC State, she had to do several projects, and one of the projects she had to do was come up with something that would help benefit the place of where she worked. So there were people worked in hospitals and in hospice and of course a community like Springmore. So she came up with the idea of 50 frequently asked questions that she's heard from families before, heard from residents. She may have talked to some of y'all. So this is very, very beneficial. It's got a bunch of just great information of just, what do you do? How do I find a dining companion? How do I set up an appointment for the hairstylist? How do I pay for it? What can the housekeeper help me with and not help me with? It's a great thing. So I have one back here. I'll make sure that everybody gets one before you leave. I can put them up here, I can pass them out, but these are really good. This is just a quick thing to really just you get this nice new resident manual when you come in. It's like this thick, but this is a very much condensed version of it. So we have that. The last thing, a lot of people have been asking about cable, and we are working with that. It seems like I feel bad sometimes because I tell you these things are coming and you wait and you wait and you wait, like the kitchen and the health center and the cable. But I promise you all this stuff's in motion. I will say for once, the memo is late because of me, but nothing's late for the kitchen or the cable because of not a lack of effort. It just takes a lot of time. But as y'all know, we are going to be switching over to Spectrum Cable. We are under an old Time Warner contract, and in order to upgrade the channels, we had to switch over from Time Warner to Spectrum with a new. They are, but when they merged, we have a bulk account that we were still under a Time Warner contract, and that expires or goes away once we renew with them. So it's time to renew with them. But the reason we've waited so long for, each of the boxes that you have in your apartments or houses and villas, they belong to Springmore, and we take care of all that for you, so you don't have to worry about calling the cable company and setting it up. No, if you want a DVR or a much higher package or internet, yeah, you have to do that. But for the basic cable service, that's something we like to take care of. We don't want y'all to have to be burdened with it when you move in. If you switch apartments internally, you've got to turn it off, and the other person that you're moving out, they got to make sure they turn it off, and you got to turn it back on. So we wanted to have control of the boxes so y'all wouldn't have to worry about it. So it took them a while they wanted y'all to be responsible for it. So I wrote a letter, and luckily they accepted it and said, okay, we'll let y'all be in control of these new boxes that you're going to have with these channel upgrades. So I was just telling Mr. Robinson, who's if you have any questions about the cable, by the way, ask Mr. Robinson over here. He's really good about asking stuff. I'll go ahead and offer your free help, Mr. Robinson. I hope that's okay. But I got an email yesterday from our contact rep, and he is saying the Spectrum team, intends on updating the channel inserts first. Within a few days of the channel inserts, we will do the box swap out. The channel insert should be done in about 2 weeks. So apparently, from what Mr. Robinson said, they'll take these boxes and put in the new channels that you're getting, which will have the ACC channel, by the way, because that's what most people I think are interested in. I don't understand why anybody would want to watch anything other than SEC, but I guess ACC is important as I wear this orange Clemson jacket. No, it's important, and we have it at our house, and I like watching it. So the new lineup will have ACC, but they're having to upgrade the boxes. It's going to take about 2 weeks, and then after that, they will send a group in to take all of your small boxes out and replace them with new ones. It'll take about 10 working days to get all 600 units. So within about a month or a little over a month, y'all should have the new Spectrum lineup with the new channels, with the ACC. And you don't have to pay a dime for more. I mean, nothing goes up. It's the same price. It's still under the bulk account, which goes on your monthly service fee that Springmore pays for, but just roughly about probably a month. So we'll keep you updated on that. And when it happens, we will send out a special memo to let you know, hey, they're going to start coming around your apartment starting tomorrow. They're starting over in Creedmoor, and they're going to work their way to Valley and then North Village. So we'll keep you up on that. Sure. Yeah, so that's a great. Somebody asked me that. So if you have so basically what this pertains to are the boxes that Springmore provides you, the little small ones that you don't pay anything extra for. So if you pay extra for a large box for a DVR, or if you have a higher package that you have a separate bill come to you, that will still be managed by you. We're not getting DVR boxes. We're just getting a box that's larger than what you have now that's going to have more channels. So yes, you would keep your DVR box.
Will I have the different channels with this?
Yes. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm not exactly sure which channels you're going to get with the upgrade and kind of what you have now. So that will be something that Randy can help you with through our contact guy here named Aaron. I would just get with Randy. Randy's he does have a good. Yes, sir. Strauss.
My understanding is that you will keep what you have. The big question is, will Spectrum give you a discount on what you have because some of what you have now you're paying extra for? It will come with the standard package.
They've already reduced what I pay for some reason, I don't know.
So-
I got about a $20 or $25 reduction.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Deals I've gotten, so.
Okay, well, that may be what Ms. Robinson's talking about. So, yeah, that may be, if you have these extra services, it may be reduced on what you're paying because you're under the bulk account. So all that's kind of those specifics, just make note of those and we can help you with that. So kind of the timeline of the ACC, this is just a big ordeal with this bulk account and 600 units. It's not just like doing it at your house. So I promise we've been working on it. And you talk about the chain of command at this place, it's like I talk to this boss and this boss and this boss and this boss. So, yes, sir, Mr. Bundy. No, we're still doing the internet on your own. We are exploring to do. We've been talking about doing Wi-Fi for a long time. I think with the new Spectrum contract, and Richard can talk more on this. The hesitation before of doing the Wi-Fi was it was going to cost an astronomical amount of money to wire the building to have it set up for Wi-Fi. Is that right, Richard? Now I think Spectrum will do that free of charge. We just have to pay for all of the internet usage. So it would be like a bulk internet account, just like the cable account. So the whole idea is we didn't want Mrs. Jones to pay extra for the internet when she doesn't even have a computer, but Mr. Smith is using it. So that's why we've said if you want it, you pay for it. So what we're trying to do is get it under a bulk account to where we can absorb it within our budget and you don't have to pay, you're not going to have to pay a rate increase more to have the internet. Yes, sir, Mr. Howell. Yeah. I don't think so. Not that I wouldn't argue for you or fight for you. I believe Randy's asked that question before, and since it's individual with y'all, we don't have anything to do with it. They're not gonna talk to us about that. It's kind of, I called the News and Observer about 2 years ago and said I have hundreds of people paying different amounts of money. And they're all senior citizens that live in this community. And you drop the papers off at this one bulk place every day. Can you give me a flat rate for everybody? Absolutely not. So I don't think, Mr. Howell. I'll ask Randy again. I think he's already asked that question. And since it's individually done, they won't barter with us. But I'll try. Okay. Is it ones just on the people that have the internet, or people that is campus wide where the community pays for it? Okay. Yep, we'll reach out to talk to them. We do have a new rep who's been much more open and much more easy to work with than our old rep. So I'll reach out to Aaron. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right.
We won't need that, but yeah, we're going to work on it for you.
Okay.
That will cut down your complaints about campus-wide internet for a while.
Yep.
It's reasonably broad.
Too far away.
Yep. All right. The last thing I'm going to talk about and let Richard get in. I know I'm going over a little bit, but I sent out a letter recently about a proposed Medicaid tax on our nursing home beds. And I wanted to talk to y'all about that. I don't know every little detail, but what I can tell you is that, first of all, we don't participate in Medicaid or Medicare at Springmore. Everything's private pay. You can debate that's good or bad. I think it's really good. We have E-days. You can get up to 90. If we had Medicare and long-term care now is not what it used to be. The profit margins are minimal. If anything is paid based on performance. It's just the government regulating everything. We would have to add 15 new staff members. It's just crazy the stuff you have to do. So anyway, long story short, we don't have Medicaid or Medicare. We can't get it. We signed a long time ago. We can't get it. There are nine CCRCs throughout the state, just like us, that do not participate in Medicaid or Medicare. And so what happens is if you're in Medicaid, you have to pay a certain tax on each Medicaid bed you have. So you're generating money off that Medicaid bed. You have to pay a tax on that. The tax goes, as you know, I think most people know, Medicaid is funded by state and by national. So the amount of money you get is kind of a combination of both. So each state generates a different amount of Medicaid tax, and then the federal government, I think, pitches in some to make a lump sum. At least that's how it works in long-term care and hospitals. So if you have Medicaid beds, you've been paying this tax because you're getting money off of it. It's not a lot of money, but you're getting money. What they're proposing is every community that has nursing home beds, private, Medicaid or not, that each bed will have to pay this tax. So if we had 130 residents in the health center last year, we would have to pay a tax on each one of those beds, even though we get nothing. We don't get a penny or a dime from Medicaid, not a zip. So apparently this was in effect about 15 years ago. People like Kyle Dilday, who was the executive director before, we have a policy group within Leading Age, which is our organization that helps with things like this. They fought it to get it taken away. Well, now they are talking about bringing it back to increase the Medicaid funding for the state. Well, that sounds like a great idea to increase Medicaid funding for the ones that need it, but you guys would be stuck with paying that extra tax here at Springmore when we get not a dime from Medicaid. We don't have Medicaid beds, we have nothing. So it could be up to six figures. It could be up to $100,000 extra tax we have to pay on the beds. I'm hoping that doesn't pass. We have lobbyists, we have lawyers within Leading Age that fights that. It's not fair for us to have to pay for that. It doesn't make sense. They can, so that's what I wanted to send that out to everybody and encourage you to reach out. And what happens is when you get, I don't know, let's say 10,000 senior citizens living in a retirement community that don't get this, they kind of get the point. They'll hopefully they won't vote for it. So that's why I urge you to just kind of send that sample letter, voice your opinion of don't pass this tax. It's not going to help us, and unfortunately, y'all would be stuck paying the extra money. So that's unfortunate. Hopefully that won't pass, but that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. If you need more specific stuff, I can get you. Yes, sir, Ms. Howell.
So they're trying to tax all the retirement communities rather than just the general population of the United States.
What they're trying to do is, so the question was, are they trying to tax retirement communities instead of the general population? So let's say a nursing home down the road, let's say Hillcrest behind Crabtree, they may have 75 Medicaid beds, okay? So 75 Medicaid beds. They're having to pay a tax on those 75 Medicaid beds that they generate revenue off of. But all CCRCs have been exempt from this, paying this Medicaid tax, because we have independent living, we have assisted living. It's always just been nursing homes. So a place like Springmore, who has no Medicaid affiliation at all, they're trying to put the tax on all of our beds that are utilized to generate more money. So it's just within retirement communities. So they're targeting communities like us that do not participate in Medicaid, which is not fair. Why should we have to pay a tax on something we don't get anything for?
Well, just tax everybody in the United States instead.
Yeah, that would be an easier way. It'd be spread out more. But anyway, that's kind of the gist behind it. They're kind of constantly updating that. There's a couple other taxes being proposed with retirement communities. Nothing I need to get out to you yet. It's just kind of in the planning process. But I try to keep y'all updated on stuff like that. It's important. The more voices that are sent. You remember a couple of years ago they had talked about taking the tax away that you can file each year for your health care expenses. You've recently probably got a letter from Philip saying you can deduct X amount of dollars based on how much we paid in the health center. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Have y'all got that letter this year? Yeah, so they had taught, and it fluctuates every year based on expenses and revenue, so that's going to go up and down. That's a whole nother story. But they tried to take that away from us about 2 years ago, and I think I wrote y'all a letter or memo, and we were able to keep that intact. So I feel good about it. Just wanted to keep y'all up to date on stuff, because when you have 600 residents here, and we have 191 skilled nursing beds that run about 130 every day, it can be a lot of money. So just FYI, I wouldn't worry about it right now. Just if you can reach out to somebody, please do. If y'all have pull with any political people in town, bend their ear. Yeah, get their paycheck out of them. And anyway, so I'm going to let Richard and these guys talk, and then I'll chime in with anything, and I'll if you think of anything toward the end, I'll jump back up for more questions. Okay? All right. Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I was going to wear my lime green jacket today, but I thought it would clash with Brandon a little too much. All right, so I'm here to talk to you guys today about a new program we've developed just in the last few months, the portal that is designed for the residents themselves to improve our communication between each other, between the staff and you guys, and just a way to go a little bit more away from paper and bring our residents into more of a digital world, which I think a lot of people may have absolutely no interest in, but at the same time, I think if you give it a chance, I think that you'll really enjoy it. So I know a lot of you guys may be on it, and some of you may not be. Just to let you know, Daniel Sakaris, my assistant right now, has a sign-up sheet with him today. And anyone who has tried to get on the portal or has issues with the portal can sign up right here. And I've told him by 2 o'clock today, anyone who signs up will be getting an email from Daniel Sakaris with the process of how to get you on the portal. Now, also in the future, we're going to be doing more classes that we've done in the past, and we're also going to have more picture days, because what you'll see in there, when I go down my list here, I'm going to talk about the resident directory, but the resident directory has the opportunity to have a photo in it. So when we do these photo days, come back dressed in your Sunday best, and we'll put you on the portal. One question about that a lot of people ask is, well, I have no interest in using this, but I'd like to have my picture in there, and you absolutely can. You don't have to use the portal to be involved with it in any way if you want to. So I'm just going to do a quick rundown of it. The address for it is, and like I said, is you'll get all this information again. I'm just going to say it real quick. It's springmoreportal.org. For you folks that are not on the portal, you could go there, but all you're going to see is a username and login. The username is always going to be an email address that you provide with this. So one thing, too, is a lot of residents say, well, they don't have email. Daniel and I are happy to help teach you guys how to create an email address. If you would like to use it for that, just for the portal, you don't have to be emailed by Springmore or contacted by Springmore or total strangers. You can create an email address just for the purpose of logging into the portal. So when you log into the portal, what you'll see is on the main page is what's called the dashboard. And that's just going to be current daily events. Like your activities directors, your chaplains, your wellness folks, it might be security or maintenance might post important things like water heaters are getting changed out somewhere, or a parking lot's being closed off. It's just common events that are happening hopefully on that day. Now our staff is still also learning this portal as well, so I'm trying to get them more involved with adding data to it. So at the moment, we're doing 1 or 2 a week, but I'm hoping to do 2 or 3 a day. So as we learn it, we're going to be learning at the same time as you guys. So just have patience with our staff as they're learning it as well. Now, some of the other options you can see on the portal is you can see the events calendar. Right now, I know a lot of you guys get that through the mail in a paper form, but once you start using the portal, you'll be able to access it on your phone or on your computer or on your laptop or tablet. You can access it from any of the computers around Springmore that we offer to the residents. And then you can also at this time register for stuff that might be a trip to DPAC or a Durham Bulls game or something like that. All of that is active right now, and we're still maybe shaking out a couple of bugs, but it's just an opportunity for you guys to use this as a way to know what's going on at Springmore and to get involved a little bit with some of the events we have. The next part on there would be as you would be able to access the dining menus to see what's in the dining halls. You'll also be able to see what's at the cafe and the bistro across the street. Some of the things we're thinking of doing real soon are advertising the premium entree menus, and also potentially adding a way where you can even order the premium entrees through the portal. And then maybe at some point also, we're just trying to think of the logistics of it right now, where you could even potentially use the portal for ordering either carry out or takeout or delivery. We haven't decided which path we're going to go with that, but that's all in the works and would be filtered through the portal. Once again, like I said, the resident directory is on there. Like I said, it would have a picture of you when you join. You have the ability to add and alter your own bio, where you'd put down any information you'd like to say about yourself, where you went to school, the places you've lived, what your hobbies are. And the purpose of that is in the resident directory, it has a search option. So in that search option, say that you're into woodworking. You could do a search for woodworking, and it would show you a list of all the residents who said that they were into woodworking. So it's meant to start, we have a north side and a south side. It's working to blend where you might find people with common interest, or even all the people who went to maybe Central Michigan University. Maybe there's only 2 of you here, but maybe y'all don't realize that. Now you can search by colleges, you can search by almost anything. Churches, you can search by a lot of things to find other residents that may be at Springmore that have been here for a decade and not realize you guys have a lot in common. So it's meant to be where you can find out and see these pictures and go, oh, I know who that is now, but also to find common interest and maybe find a new friend. Also, you'll see there's a staff directory listed. So when you see people walking down the halls and you're like, I have no idea who that person is, you can go through that list, or you might know that their name is Bob. Well, you search the staff directory by first name, and then you would be able to identify them, see where they're at, and a lot of them also have contact information. Because now this is for senior staff and supervisor positions. Frontline staff aren't on there just because we have so much turnover. We don't put all 550 employees on there, but it's got a large amount of them. So then another area that you would see on the portal is videos and galleries, which would be activities and events that have happened recently. If you want to see pictures, I know this last fall we had the 35th anniversary of Springmore. Well, we recorded that, and you could watch that whole presentation from the portal when you go into the videos and galleries. And there's lots of historical pictures that we've been adding recently as well. Then you'll see that there is a committees area, and right now what the committees area is used for is really just to give you a list of who's on what committee. And also, especially if you're new to Springmore, you can look through there and say if you have an interest in being on a committee, you can see who's in charge of it, so you could reach out to that resident and or the staff member who's representing that committee. So let's see. Okay, the next thing is yeah, well, we don't have them for this year added yet. We've added the 4, but we're going to be adding them as soon as they're all voted in. All right, and the next one would be newsletters are on there. A lot of you guys get the Herald delivered to you, perhaps. Well, you can access the Herald, the resident memorandum, and there's also a new health and fitness newsletter by Carrie Ritchie that's added on there as well. So you'd have that opportunity to access all these devices without having paper just getting stacked up at your house every month. Let's see, and there's also a documents section, which right now The most important thing you could probably see on there is the disclosure statement for Springmore. So if you've ever, instead of going up to the business office and asking for the most current copy, you can access it through your resident portal and just take a look through it if you have an interest in reading about 150 pages. Another big important one that I'll let you know about is there's a feedback and suggestions page. I think this would be very important for Springmore because you don't have to use this feedback and suggestions page just for ideas or complaints about the portal. You can use it for if you have a question about transportation, or if you have a compliment of a waiter or a housekeeper, you can put it in there, and that will be filtered through the business office to let you know they all go to Holly Martin, and then Holly will dispatch it to whoever it's responding to. So if you say, I have an idea for an activity, you could reach out directly to Leah or to Brenda, but you could also put it in here, and it will end up on their desk through Holly. So we look for all kinds of suggestions and all kinds of feedback from you guys at all times. So that's something I think that y'all should really explore. The next thing on there is also a new thing, is a transportation request. So when you start using the portal and you're wanting to have a doctor's visit or any other of the visits that are going through transportation right now, through the portal you can put a request in and put all your information in. Just be aware that when you put it in there, it's a request. Don't consider it confirmed until you get a call or an email back from Tracy, because that's what she's doing right now. She's calling or emailing to confirm that request, but you can use that through the portal as well. Another option on there is plan of absence. So if you're planning to go out of Springmore for a week or 2 weeks or even a month, you can post in here, and this goes to the front desk computer so that security is aware of it and that they can put it on their calendar so that they're not doing wellness checks while you're not here, or being concerned going, this person's missing, so they'll be aware of it. Another option we have on there right now is also a housekeeping tab. Right now, everyone has scheduled housekeeping and everyone has major periodicals. So what it's really used for is if you have an emergency, you would call Terry right away, 7129. You'd call her right away when you have an emergency. But if you had a special request for housekeeping beyond your normal scheduled cleanings or your periodicals, you could use this as well. And again, it's another way you could also just do a comment that goes directly to Terry about your housekeeper or a question or concern about housekeeping in general. Let's see. And then the last one that's down at the very bottom is an in memoriam. So for when we do have a resident who does pass on, they're moved out of the resident directory into the in memoriam. And if there's an online obituary, it will be hyperlinked on there as well. And any information that either family or friends want to add that gets approved will be put on there as well. So that's pretty much what the portal is. Like I said, we go more intel and more detail when we do the classes, and just keep an eye out for that. I haven't talked to Leah about when we're going to schedule one, but I would say probably in the next 30 days or so, probably sometime in February, don't you think? We'll probably have another class. Yes, sir.
For some time, the Herald has been collecting and publishing biographical information on new residents. Are you going to try to pick that up and include that material, or does everybody, no matter what, have to go back and do their own thing?
I'm not sure I get what you're saying there.
There have been biographical
Oh,
sketches,
yeah.
outlines, and photos of
Yeah.
many new residents published in the Herald.
Yes.
over time.
Yes.
The question is, are you going to try to pick that up and include that information
Yeah.
in the database, or does everybody have to go back and do their own thing all over again?
Well, the Herald, as you're seeing it right now, will be available on the portal. There also is a new resident section that we're still exploring how it's actually, the logistics of how it's working. I know Ms. Hale had been listed as a new resident, so we're trying to find out some of the little bugs in it to straighten out. And that will probably be something we'll add into our training when we're starting to do it. And I know in the last resident memorandum, we also added a frequently asked questions about the portal from our previous training classes. So we can document that if you want to, and we'll try to research and give you a good answer on that.
That's all interesting, but that doesn't address the question.
Okay?
you have in the record of the Herald already
Mm-hmm.
a lot of individual biographical information.
Yes.
Are you going to go back and copy that historical information of existing residents into the portal database
No.
or no?
No, we're not going to do that. The Archives Committee right now still has a website that you can access, or an intranet that you can access from the resident computers throughout Springmore. It might be something that's explored to put in all those older heralds and whatnot, and maybe some of that information. But at this time, we're still just trying to get it off the ground. We're looking forward instead of adding that old data at the moment. But it may be added at some point, but at this moment, not. Does anyone else have any questions? All right, well, I thank you all very much. Y'all have a good day.
While he's getting that set up, I'll say that the portal's something that we had wanted to do for a while, and I think it's great. We're not using its full capability yet. Obviously, one thing that we want to do is make sure, as Richard said, we have more daily updates on there. So I plan to get with some department managers to let them know the expectations of having those daily updates. It's kind of like when you pick up the paper in the morning, or if you pick up your phone, you look at today's headlines. You want to see what's the most recent thing going on today. It could be perfect thing today would have been, I don't know if it was on there today, Resident Refresher, was that on there? On the portal, and there are like announcements? Probably not, Yeah, probably not. So that'd be a perfect thing, just the announcement, although it's on Pathways, or, it'd be great. It'd be great to have that under the announcements of, Resident Refresher, or, just anything that's just important for the day that we think should be like a daily announcement. So we're going to work with Leah and Brenda, and with dining, and with transportation, and just a group of people that may have announcements each day that we can put up there. So anyway, we're still working on that. It takes a time to kind of get these things rolling, but I'm just glad we got it in place, and it will get better as we go along. So. You next?
All right. So I guess the title of this presentation is called Action Packed. You can call it Culture Change. You can call it What We're Doing in the Health Center. I don't know what to call it. This will probably be the fastest 6 hours you've ever sat through. But I think it'd be very interesting for you. We're not going to change our name. It'll still be Springmore. Okay. So the first little section here is a little acronym that Brandon kind of started here. I kind of learned it from here, but it's called Care Over Real Estate, CORE. This is just an acronym that we try to use when we're doing training with people. And really what it comes down to is the care is the priority. It's not the real estate. It's the care that we want to change. It's the culture change we want. And yeah, we're going to do some renovations. We're going to make it more home-like and all these kind of things, but care is the priority. And the outcome of the resident is really the priority. So we're going to be implementing not just real estate changes, but a care model is going to change. And, like right now, I'm on A Hall, and I've got 8 residents, and I'm on day shift, and I'm going to take care of these 8 residents, and some of them might be halfway down A Hall, and some of them might be over to B Hall, and that's what I do. And then I may have some responsibility down the hall, or it's just kind of spread out right now. And so we're going to go to a new model, and it's going to be a lot of change. We are going to renovate the real estate. We are going to try to make it more home-like. There's not a lot of exterior changes. There's going to be a few new entrances, a new elevator, and we'll get to some of that in just a little bit, just so you'd understand. But we are going to renovate the real estate. Wanted to talk a little bit about the 3 R's. This is another thing that we got from our consulting firm that we've been working with. And The 3 R's we call, the first one is called renewal, which is like renewal of spirit, meaning, okay, this is going to be a fresh start. This is going to be a new model. This is going to be some new job enrichment for the employees. This is going to be new meaning for the residents. This is going to be a different focus on the relationship between the employees and the residents. So this is more than just, changing a few rooms, and, we're going for a complete transformation, and that involves everybody on every level and every department at Springmore. So it is a renewal. The next one, we call it reframing our organization. So obviously, we're going to try to decentralize some of the decisions that are made. It's absolutely crazy to have people at the upper level trying to make decisions for people that are out on the floor in a neighborhood, for example. Those people have to have the authority and the knowledge to understand this culture change and then the authority to make those changes. So there's going to be some reframing. And of course, we are going to try to renovate, the places into home too, so. There's nothing wrong with what we've done for the last 34 years. Everyone pretty well did it the way we do it. It's been a very nice place. It's been well maintained. There's nothing wrong with this model, but this model came from a hospital. What we're doing now in the long-term care, that's where this model started. I mean, you just had a group of rooms and you assigned the staff, and people were pretty well lined up for medication and for bathing and for whatever they did, and people were housed in rather large areas, and that's just no one's fault. That's just how it was, but there's a better way to do it. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to deinstitutionalize and make it feel more like home, and to go through a complete change. So there's nothing wrong with how we've done it, but we're going to do it differently now. We are going to create households, and a household, it just like in our own households, we have our own household, and several households on our street make a neighborhood, and several neighborhoods make a village or a town, and several towns make a state. And that's kind of how we're going to structure the health center. We want, for each, a group of halls, usually just 1 or 2 halls, will be its own neighborhood and will function in its own neighborhood. That doesn't mean someone can't come over to another neighborhood. It's not jail, but I'm just saying, the focus of the staff in that neighborhood will be dedicated to that neighborhood, and therefore relationships, it'll feel more normal, and they can form relationships with the people in that neighborhood and be a little more cohesive and a little less spread out. And then that's a very simple way of telling, how we're going to go about this transformation, but we are going to create households. It's more than just creating household. It's an innovative and enhanced way to provide care. We're going to be creating person-centered care, and I know this is a big buzz term in our industry right now. Even the people that are not doing households, they're getting away from doing a lot of things we used to do. There's absolutely no reason to wake someone up in the middle of the night unless it's an emergency. We don't want to wake you up and make you do things and give you care and say, oh, I'm sorry, Miss Jones, you need to take your pill at 2 o'clock in the morning. So we turn the lights on, we come in, we wake you up. It doesn't need to be done that way. I don't want my bath until 10 o'clock. I just don't want to do it. Well, okay, then we're going to try to work around that and try to make that happen, okay? I don't like to get up at 6:30 and eat breakfast. I'm a late sleeper. I mean, we're trying to learn to, it's more about the resident. It's less about convenience for the staff. It's more about personal preferences. And then, okay, I have these preferences, so how do we react to that and how do we do that? And these models that we're creating are going to help us do that. So it is patient-centered care. It's going to give the residents more control of how the care is going in the health center, and that's always a good thing. This model is supposed to create stronger relationships between residents and staff, and also more meaningful relationships. So if I'm assigned to a neighborhood, I've got 16 to 20 people in that neighborhood, and we're a team and we work together, and all these people, they may have blended roles or different roles. I mean, there's certain regulations now. I still have to comply with the regulations. I mean, I still have to get nurses to pass the meds. I still have to get certified nurse aides to do the nursing care. But there's other ways that we can blend, these roles. We can have housekeepers and food service people kind of in a blended role. And, when it's mealtime, you might find a licensed nurse putting a tablecloth on a table. I mean, I can't promise them. This is everybody in the neighborhood making it work. That's their neighborhood. And so it's going to be more of a working together thing. And I think that's going to feel more normal to getting a relationship with the residents. And so that's kind of where we're headed. We want the people to have the same lifestyle they had when they were at home and in independent living. So I want to talk a little bit about the design process. Internally, of course, we created a vision with our current structure, and you couldn't do a tear down. I mean, you could, but number one, I've got 124 people in the health center approximately today, so I don't know where they would go if we did a complete tear down, but they couldn't stay here. So that's one problem. And the other problem is if we completely tore it down, that would just be cost prohibitive. So we had to come up with, kind of what we got, and then what can we work with our current structure, and then how can we reframe it. And this was, of course, a pretty tough job. It's always harder when you start with something that's already built. So anyway, we've got a vision, and we've got what we think will work, and we're going to get to some of the design things in just a little bit later on in the presentation. Of course, we've been involving residents and staff and spouses of residents. We've had 2 or 3 family nights, and we've had meetings with our staff that have already started. This consulting firm that we'll talk about a little bit later in the presentation. They've been here twice already, and then, they train us, and then we train the other people, so it's kind of like train the trainer kind of thing going on. And so we've been working on that. Of course, we've had to have some pretty sharp architects. Bill Steele was the head architect for a long time, and he's with the large company. He kind of broke off onto his own, and so we've hired him. He's out of Winston-Salem. He has his own firm with some other partners, and so we've got like a team of architects working on, where all these things would be. But, if you can just try to imagine, if you came to my house, I have like a little townhome, and I don't have med carts in my living room, and I don't have everyone lined up at the nurse's station. I don't have a nurse's station. I have a refrigerator. I have a couch. I have a nice open area, but I don't have all these institutional things at my house. And I don't want them, meaning the residents that are in, the health center, we're trying to get away from that feeling like, that it's got to be an institution. Here comes everyone all lined up, and here comes the med cart, and here's all these things that just don't make it feel like home. So anyway, we're getting away from all that. Of course, we created and fine-tuned our division, our vision. Okay, so we're going to start here on a basic understanding of what the health center is going to look like. You're looking right now at first floor in the health center, and this orange area on the left, that's not orange. I'm not sure what color it is. Salmon, maybe? It's a beautiful color, but I don't know what color it is. Anyway, this is A and B hall, and you see on the lower left side, that's a new entrance. That's going to be the portico. I'm going to lose my parking space, really. I hate that. But anyway, that's where we used to park, Brandon and me, and so I guess that'll be relocated somewhere. And so A and B hall, and then, if you look down here on the lower right-hand side, this is the new entrance. That's the current entrance, but you'll notice on the right-hand side, the yellow is going to be the clinic, and a little further up just a little bit, that's physical therapy. All these things are now going to be downstairs. Okay, so they're all coming downstairs. And if you go a little further in, there'll be some medical supply people and all that kind of thing. And then, you'll get over here, and then that gray on the top there, that's the start of the current C hall, and that'll be its own neighborhood. So already you've got short-term people coming down to the old C hall downstairs. You've got the rest home section, or the assisted living section is what we'll call it. And that's going to be A and B hall. And then there'll be a corridor here on the right-hand side that'll go into the current C wing, so we will have another kind of access to kind of go in there. So the idea is if you come in and, you live independently and you need physical therapy, we don't want you to have to walk all the way upstairs. We don't have to walk you. Right now, if you're going to visit someone on the temporary hall, you have to go all the way upstairs and all the way over to E Hall upstairs. And those are the people that get the most visitors. We really need to relocate that. So they're coming down to C Hall. And also we have the angel room upstairs that we use, for hospice kind of care, and we're going to move that downstairs too. So just to kind of give you an overview of, what's coming, that's kind of how the first floor is going to look. This is another view of kind of the north side of the first floor. And again, you get a better shot. There in the middle of the gray is the current C Hall. And then if you'll notice, D Hall has really kind of been eliminated because now all those beds are going to go into the memory care unit. So we're going to pick up an additional 4 beds there in the memory care unit. Okay, so upstairs is really kind of a mirror of downstairs. Of course, you don't have physical therapy in the clinic and a lot of things you have downstairs. But again, in A and B have its own neighborhood with its own common area, its own kitchen, and an open area. And we can use those for activities and all those kind of things, if we need a place for big events and all that kind of thing. And, then again, current C Hall upstairs, that's going to be its own neighborhood, and then we'll have D&E that will also be a neighborhood. So, you're going to 7 neighborhoods by the time we get it all done. And that's just a little better look at second floor. This is D&E Hall over here, so that'll be a neighborhood. Does anybody in here like change? I didn't see any hands there. Yeah, so that's why, this project's going to go over like a lead balloon starting off, because no one likes it. No one wants to deal with it. And so what are the ways, that we can put a positive spin on this thing? We know people don't like to change, but the reason why we would put ourselves through this kind of thing is to get better outcomes for the residents. And so, it's just simply a different way and a better way of providing care. It's hard to explain to you that it's just more than renovating a few rooms and doing a couple in services. We're talking about total different, this is how I think when I go into the neighborhood. I'm in a neighborhood, I'm in someone else's home. I give them respect, I give them the power to make changes and to live their lives like they want to live it. And we're more tuned into their personal preferences. And it's way more than just, deciding to do a few, training programs. It's a true or literal team concept using the household model. So again, if we take A and B Hall and we enclose it and we open it up, and now I've got the common space, now I've got the kitchen area, now I've got, a seating area, and I still got the living areas, and this is a household. So that's kind of what we're doing. It's a household model, and we're going to have 7 of them. It's sort of a different thought process to achieve positive outcomes for the residents. It's more than just remodeling, and it's reinventing the daily activities in the household. Okay. I know there's some repetition here, but that old saying, 7 times is a habit. So if you hear me say it 7 times, we'll all remember it. Action Pact is the firm that we've hired to help us on this journey. Now, there's been a few facilities that have tried this on their own, and I think at least 2 of them decided to hire Action Pact once they got a little bit into it. You can't take this on by yourself. It's a complete transformation of the way we're giving care here. So we needed an outside firm, and this firm, Action Pact, is going to be our partner in this whole thing. We pay them the consulting fee. They come here, they do the in-services, they train us, we train the employees. A few of us are going different places to get trained. And so it's just something that you need expertise in trying to do if you're going to do it in the right way. So we know that this firm has done at least 1,000 facilities. okay, and have taken this journey. So they've got a proven track record. And then, by the way, you know, they come and they do this intense 2-year training program, and then you're pretty well done with the first phase, but, you know, then they come back every so often, or they'll send us, you know, information, you know, on, because this thing is constantly evolving. You know, it's just constantly changing a little bit, and this is a thing that you get better at as you go. I mean, and this doesn't happen overnight. So there's a lot of things that are going to happen. But anyway, this Action Pack place, you know, they're training staff on a different way of providing care and a different thought process using patient-centered activities in daily living. An innovative approach or concept giving residents control of themselves and their environment. So back to the household model. Try to imagine several households, each with their own kitchen, common area, and residence. And, you know, if you can imagine, you know, a hall or a combination of halls being in a household, and for some slight changes to happen, you know, meaning we'll have an entrance into the neighborhood, and then we'll kind of open it up and have, you know, the common space area, and we'll have a kitchen with the refrigerator. And yeah, we in the training, when we're, you know, explaining this to employees, you know, it's just like we try to make it real with examples. You know, like last night, you know, when I got home, you know, I went to the refrigerator and got some leftover pizza, and then, of course, I was still hungry, and went back to the refrigerator and got some yogurt, which I needed. And so, you know, the point is, when I'm sitting there watching TV or listening to music, you know, I have the freedom to get up and go over there and get it myself. And the stuff that's in there, I bought it myself, so I know I like it. And so we're going to try to do that for the people that live in these neighborhoods. You know, they're supposed to have snacks they like. They're supposed to have the freedom to go over and get something when they want to. And, you know, the kitchen's going to be open 24 hours a day. Now, I'm not going to put a chef in there for them 24 hours a day. Yeah, I don't mean that. But we're going to have snacks in there and things for them to eat, you know, so that anytime they want to, they can go get it. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And it's going to be the stuff they like, because they're going to be the ones picking it. So that's just one example, you know, a real example of how it's going to feel more like home. A household is a combination of hallways. All staff in the household are dedicated to their household. There's still going to be some sharing. You know, I've got to have custodians that would go to several households, and I've got 2 social workers. They'll have to go to several households. There's still going to be some people that are going to float. But for the most part, you know, the core people, the ones, you know, we want them dedicated to a household. I know them. I know their preferences. I know these people. And we're going to get rid of the nurses' carts, and we're going to put them storage areas into like a little nursing office, and we're going to try to make it look like a living room and a place that you'd really want to come in and stay and visit with the people that visit you, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, we've said this before, you know, that roles will be different and combined. Training, yeah, we had to start at the top here with the, you know, the senior staff. We had to, you know, again, some of the people, Brandon, director of nursing, and then I'm going to go actually this month to a very nice place, Milwaukee, this month. It should be really beautiful there. Oh, just wanted to bring that up again to kind of needle Brandon. Thank you so much for that.
I got to go. It's really nice.
Anyway. Yeah, well, you do what you have to do. I don't know what to say. Anyway, training. Yeah, we took 2 days of intense training for the senior staff, you know, at the top, because again, this whole thing's going to affect more than just the health center. So we wanted everybody kind of on the same page. And then general staff training was spread out over 2 weeks, so we start to make a checklist to be sure that everyone's been through an in-service and everyone gets this basic training on the transformation that we're going to make. And then, you know, it's a very formal process, too, because now we've got steering committees that have been formed, and this is like the executive, you know, committee who's going to carry out all these different action plans. And then you've got the action plan committees who actually carry it out. So it's kind of a little bit complicated, but, you know, it's such a massive, big, you know, project that you really have to have a kind of a formal process and a good tracking system to make it work. So, outcome, this is the whole reason why we're doing this. We want residents to feel like they're at home. it looks, smells, and gets used to like their own home. You know, for example, I don't know if you've ever gone over to the health center when we're making cookies. But I don't know about you, but every time I hit that door and smell those cookies, you know, I feel a little bit like I'm at home. You know, that's definitely something that you would smell at home. You know, so somebody making some fresh cornbread, I remember those times, you know, people baking pies and you know, cookies and cakes and stuff. This is what it's supposed to feel like. It's supposed to feel like your own home. And, you know, if it feels normal and you have those, all those feelings and emotions, you know, like you're more at home, then we think there'd be less depression and digression, you know, for the people that live over there. So that's the whole reason why we're doing this, to get a better outcome. And, you know, I know that there's always some kind of negative connotation, and it's my life's, one of my life's journeys here is to get everyone not to feel that way when they have to go to a health center. But, you know, it's supposed to feel more normal. It's supposed to feel like it's less of a transition, and we're going to work real hard at trying to make that happen. Well, of course, we want residents to be at their maximum potential every day. What are the timelines? This is a big question I get over and over. By the time it's all said and done, when we start, it's going to be about 2 years. So we've already submitted. January 10th is not quite right on the date there. That needs to be updated. It's just pushed out just a little bit, but we're hoping we can start on the outside like May, June, something like that of 2020. So it's going to start that quickly. It usually takes about an average of 90 days to get approvals through the city, and we'll do all the outside areas first, and then we'll kind of move in and start moving the clinic and the offices and all that kind of thing. All the administrative offices in the health center are going to go upstairs on the second floor because that'll be taken over by the clinic and therapy. All right, so that's about what I had. It's about the time I've got. Does anybody have any questions about what's going to happen?
You know, I think it's a great idea. I'm just curious to know what you're going to do with the people who are there when you're doing this renovation.
Great question. So, you know, there's 191 licensed beds in the health center, and really, if you take Clayton Wing out of that, I've got 173. I've only got 124 people in there now, so I have some empty beds. But, you know, the big construction really is going to be in the rest of the assisted living area, because that's A and B hall, and they're going to be combined, and we're going to add showers. And I'm not going to be able to have anybody on that wing at all, on those two wings, while I'm doing the work. So they're going to have to come off and be located into the other rooms in the health center. And we're just have to do our best, you know, to try to accommodate. I know I've got one married couple on B Hall right now, so they're going to have to stay together. So I'm going to have to move some people around. Some people are going to be slightly inconvenienced. And then another problem with that is who goes first. You know, and I think it's going to have to be, if I've been there the longest, I'm going to be the one that would be last to make the change. You know, the one that came, you know, most recently might be the one that's inconvenienced. I don't know how to make that any more fair, and it's not going to be any fun to be me during that time, but it's just got to be done. I mean, you know, I can't keep them in. Matter of fact, Brandon went down and submitted a plan not too long ago, and the city told him, no, everyone's got to come off that hall. You can't have everybody on the hall. The only good thing about that is, even though we're going to have to relocate all those people, the good thing is that the work will get done faster, because I won't have some people on and then have to move them off, and they'll have to wait, you know, 2 or 3 days so they get everybody off. They're just going to move everybody off, and they'll do the work, and then they'll come back. So that's a good thing, actually. Other questions?
Have there been, this has been happening in other places already. Have there been surveys of people, both residents and staff, before and after of people who made this change? I mean, how do people feel afterwards about the difference?
Well, I'm going to tell you, everything I've heard is completely positive. I've not heard any negative. And as a matter of fact, there's one facility, and I forget where it is. Maybe Brandon can remember. But there's one facility that started this, and, you know, they've got a waiting list for employees to work there, because they want this model. You know, it feels more normal and natural. And once you get it going, you know, it really feels a lot better than it does now.
One community that we're pretty close with, we share a lot of information, is Glen Air over in Cary. We work very close together. they implemented this 2 or 3 years ago, and we've been over numerous times, and they, I mean, I go over, I need to take Brad, the new strategic projects director over there, to see how they constructed that. A lot of our setup's going to be very similar to Glen Air, as far as the hallways and the spaces and how they prepare the food and, bathing areas. And they have had extremely rave reviews from their residents and from their family members. It's pretty cool to see people that were there before they did the renovations to now. And yeah, they can't talk enough about it. It's absolutely great. And it goes back to the 3 things that Carrie was talking about. It kind of renews the staff's spirit of what they're doing. I'd like to think, and I know it's not perfect, that I know Carrie and Richard for sure, that we feel called to do this. It's I don't want to sound cliche like being a pastor or minister, but to do this type of work, you have to really like it. It's a very unique type of work, and we like it. So we hope, and nurses and CNAs, they're very, they're very into what they do, their profession. They want to care for people. So people have a heart for it. They do it for more than just a paycheck, obviously. So we think that really helps, and they've seen a great retention in staff as well. So yeah, I don't have any hard facts of surveys. I'm sure I can get it. I'm sure Glen Air's done it. But yeah, that's why people continue to do it. And one thing I want to stress that I told, I'll get Mr. Bundy here in a second, that I said at the family night the other night, I don't want y'all to think this is some eccentric, no offense, far left coast, very progressive idea that's just very much out there. It's very common now. This has been around for 20 years now. Like I said, there's over 1,000 communities that use it. It's all over the United States and throughout the world. Australia is a huge provider of this care model. And like Carrie said, even the people, even communities that are going to this model, they may not be going to the extreme of building it so meticulously and hiring this expert firm who created this model for a 2-year training. They may be, just going to do it on our own, and we're going to try to do dedicated staff. We're going to try to get people up at the same time. So they're doing some form or fashion of it. It's just not going to be as fine-tuned as this. But my whole argument was there's no way we're going to spend millions of dollars to renovate this health center to the way we think it should be, but not run it and give the care that it should be. So yeah, it's not some weird eccentric idea. It's very much just common now. It's just very much common, as Carrie said. Nursing homes are built like hospitals. I mean, you go to a hospital now, they're totally different. Well, not totally different, but they're updated. They're different. It's just a different way of caring for people. So I can't be more excited. I mean, it's gonna. The 2 years when it happens, it'll be a little stressful. Probably hired somebody to deal with all that, but getting started and the end result, it's awesome. Yeah, Mr. Bundy.
Are those diagrams that you showed of what it's going to look like?
Yes.
Available to the general public?
No, they're not. And that's a great. We can make them once we get the final. We're about a month behind on what Carrie had. Actually, when I did the family night, I updated the dates. I forgot to save it. Miss Kay was here. We're about a month behind on submitting those dates. We should be submitting the stuff to the city in about 10 days, February 10th. They got a month behind. What happened was we went to the city to present the plans that we had to. They did not like our emergency fire evacuation plan during the construction, so it was not up to their codes. We had to reevaluate the way we were going to do our evacuation plan during the construction. We put it back about a month. So once we submit the construction documents to the city for the permits, those will be the final plans, and then I can put them up there and have it for everybody. I'm also hoping to get renderings of what things will look like. And what's the kitchen and the common area going to look like? What's the entrance to each neighborhood going to look like? So I want to have some nice, renderings like you see in a newspaper. If they're building this, one Glenwood South or whatever, I want to have renderings like that. So yeah, we'll have that here soon. Yes, sir.
Brandon, talking to Mike.
Oh, sorry. I talk so loud that, yeah. Yes, sir. Mr. Robinson.
I think that most of us in this room recognize the high probability that at least at some point in the remaining
Yeah.
I would hope that in a future resident meeting, that you might have maybe some more simplified illustrations. You're talking about the
Sure.
architect getting the illustrations.
Yeah.
Because I personally can't envision at all what you're talking about in terms of how it will be.
Yeah, we must certainly. Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, it is hard. It took me a while to look at it and kind of visualize it, and we walk it every day. But it'll come easy once you see it. But yeah, we're going to do a lot more. We're trying to, like I said, we're doing family nights to get, because I realize that we've talked to a lot of y'all about what we're doing, but I was like, I haven't really got in front of the families that have loved ones in the health center. So we've done 2 family nights. We're going to do another one, we think maybe the end of this month, beginning of March, to continue to spread the word. But once we have some more concrete stuff, yeah, we can definitely walk through. And, that's something I have all these grand ideas for Brad, but, I want him to be available to y'all. And maybe he holds small sessions of, hey, 10 people come to the conference room and I'm going to walk you through this. So that's what we've hired him to communicate and to do all this stuff to the residents, the contractor, the architect, and everything to kind of come together. So that's a great idea. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I was looking at Mr. Murphy and I couldn't get around.
How many people would roughly be in a household and then several households in a neighborhood? I mean, I'm trying to visualize how many people we're talking about in a small unit.
Yeah.
About like 10?
Yeah, so we're going to have 7 neighborhoods. So Clayton Wing, we're not touching. That kind of already runs like a neighborhood. So we have Clayton Wing, we'll have A and B Hall, which will be the assisted living. We'll have our short-term hall. We'll have C Wing, SEAY, which is our memory care. Then we'll have the AB Hall upstairs, C Hall upstairs, and then D&E Hall up there. So 7 neighborhoods, and each neighborhood is going to be it can vary between like I'd say 10 and 20. The sweet spot's like 10 to 24. You don't really want more than 24 in there. 22 actually. So some of them are different. So in our short-term hall, we have 9 rooms, but we can have up to 18 people in there because they're all semi-private. But on any given day, there may just be 12 or 15. Yeah, you don't want too many, because right now what the whole concept we're trying to get away from is you go to ABC dining room for lunch, there's 35 people in there. So we want ideally half of that so we can devote more time to those 15. So each hall's a little different as far as size or each neighborhood, but they're also different in the fact of private rooms and semi-private rooms. So that's based on resident preference and then what we have to offer. We don't admit anybody from the health center from outside the greater Raleigh area. Only y'all that live at Springmore can go to the health center. So trying to balance the semi-private and private rooms to make sure everybody has a room if needed, it's kind of tricky. But we, like Carrie said, we have a lot of open beds. I mean, the health center's huge. I mean, I don't know of one bigger than this. I mean, it's astronomically huge, and that's not a bad thing. Back in the day when they built this in the 80s, there was no assisted living, so it was pretty much independent living or skilled nursing. So they pretty much built 1 nursing home bed for every 2 independent apartments. So that's kind of how it worked. And the other thing that's decreased our census back there, which we budget for, and we're fine. We don't lose money off. Well, we don't lose money as a whole as Springmore off of it, but our home care that many of y'all have probably used, I mean, that's been implemented about 6 or 7 years ago, and it's keeping people in their apartment longer than they would before, because before we had that, they would have had to come to the health center. But that's a great thing. Our independent living's full. People want to stay in their apartment as long as possible, and it's a huge revenue maker. I mean, we were $5,000 short of making $1 million in home care. Now that's just pure revenue. The expense was 65% of it, so really we made like $350,000. But it makes up for the shortage of census in the health center by about $100,000. So it balanced itself out. Just the health center is just so large. Most communities our size, they have a maximum 60 nursing home beds, and we have 3 times that amount. which is great in the fact that we can do more with them. We can make more private rooms if we need to. Everybody's guaranteed a bed here. I don't have to worry about, oh, I don't have a nursing home bed to go to. So I think it's a win-win. That's a long answer to your question, but between 10 and 20 is kind of the sweet spot with that. Yes, ma'am.
Just wondering, what is the allocation on a private rooms versus the semis for each of these 7 units?
So you know,
You can come up here and talk in the mic.
the assisted living unit, which is neighborhood, is going to be downstairs. That's going to be the current A and B hall. We're going to have 16 residents on that hall, but 14 of those rooms will be used as a private room, okay? And the other 2 rooms will be semi-private, and that leaves 2 beds, which I've got a total of 18 assisted living beds in the health center. That's how we're licensed. So I'll have 2 beds, you know, in case I get a married couple or something like that that has to live in skilled care, or one has to live in skilled care, or one of them skilled and one of them's, you know, assisted living. I can make that accommodation, but that right there is a lot more private rooms than we have now, and that's the way we're going to use them. Clayton Wing will continue to be used as private rooms too, except for in the case of a married couple, we always use those rooms as private. And you know, private rooms in total are based on the availability. I mean, the more people I have, the less private rooms I have available. That's not going to change, but it will change quite a bit on A and B because, you know, that's 14 more private rooms right there.
I want to say, I know we've been going on for a while. Let's do this. These are great questions. I'll stand here all day and answer them because I'm really excited about them. Me and Miss Kay were here for 2 hours the other night talking about this and answering questions and showing a video. We'll spare you the video today, but we have plans to do that. So just write these down real quick. I want to give y'all a short break, and then because I want Jennifer to our last speaker, and what I really want y'all to see more than anything is the kitchen renovation. She's got some slides of what the modular kitchen looks like. She's going to talk about that. That's our next project happening within hopefully 2 or 3 weeks. So I really want her to see that. So let's take about a 10-minute break, if that's okay. And then if y'all could please come back and see Jennifer, and then I'll answer anything afterwards about anything.
No. Okay. Can everyone hear me? Good morning. Can everyone hear me? All right, I'm just going to start. All right, so I am here to discuss kitchen construction at Springmore. So I will make it as quick as possible. If you have questions, feel free to ask me. So I'm just going to take you through the modular unit, a timeline of what's going on, and any questions and answers you might have. You can hear me or can? Is that good? Is that good? Okay, is that better? All right. Okay, so the modular unit, that is what is set up in the back currently. You have seen trucks, you have seen people out there, buildings being constructed. How many of you are wondering what's going on in that parking lot and what's inside? This is the actual unit that is back there now. It's the kitchen, it's fully constructed. And this is over by the West Apartments. We will be coming out of the elevator from food service. This is the pathway that dining services will take to go to the kitchen and come back into the dining rooms. Okay. So this is actually the pathway right before the doors of the kitchen. All right, so it's a little long, but it's not too bad. This is the front door of the kitchen. And if you look straight back, all the way back here, you will see it's actually a ramp that goes down, and that's where our food will be delivered once we fully move into the unit. This is the back of the unit. For those of you that live over in West Apartments, you see what it is, but not exactly sure what it is. So those are all of our fridges and freezers, and this is our dry storage unit. I apologize for the pictures. There is no electricity currently on in the units. They're not allowed to turn it on. It's all set up, ready to go, but they won't turn it on until the inspectors come, so I had to take some pictures in the dark, so I apologize. But this is the first aisle of where all the hot cooking equipment is. All right. This is some more hot cooking equipment. These are all the kettles. All of the equipment that's in the modular unit is the same that's in Springmore Kitchen right now, so they're not doing without anything. You'll have a full menu. There shouldn't be any problems with that. This is our 3-bin sink. This is where they wash all the pots and pans. All right. That's inside one of the freezers. So we have a freezer and 2 fridges, a little smaller than what we currently have, but once renovation's done, we'll have a lot more coolers and freezers, and it'll be good to work in. Right. And this is actually the other half. It doesn't look like it. It looks like the same picture. This is where all the cold prep will take place, and it's actually connected to that other picture where the hot equipment was. So they're not separated. They're all together, and it's actually a fairly large unit. The dining staff will be very comfortable in there, which is great because I think everyone had pictures of, you know, these small cramped areas, but it's a really nice unit. It's comfortable, it's clean, it's new, and I think they're going to be very happy in there for 2 months. So the next steps, February 3rd, which is Monday, Kitchens to Go will be here for the mechanical inspection. And these are all estimated dates. Things could change, and we'll let you know when they do. But so Monday, Kitchens to Go will be here. CE Rentals will be here to attach a gutter in between the door and the canopy for rain. And then somewhere between the 4th and the 7th, we're hoping that Wake County food inspectors will be here to approve the dining services to use the kitchen. February 6th to the 9th, we'll start moving food and some small equipment into the units and different storage areas throughout Springmore. So you might see our staff carting some stuff back and forth, and that's exactly what they're doing. And somewhere between either February 9th and 16th, we're aiming for a Sunday because it's our lightest day. We'd like to transition over into the unit in between lunch and dinner, since we do not have services at night on Sunday, just for supportive living and the health center, and we'll shift everything over, and hopefully by Monday morning, we will be operating in the modular kitchen. So service should be seamless, we shouldn't have any issues, and everyone will eat. During this time, in the next 2 weeks, as things change, places to look for communication, we will put updates weekly on the portal. I'll put any pictures I can once the electricity turns on of the unit itself. The old kitchen, there's plans to do videos of everything and put it in the Springmore Library. You know, so once all that's done, I'll put anything I can on the portal so everyone can see what's going on, the progress we've made in the kitchen. And any important changes in service that residents need to know about, whether it's phone numbers or any kind of other issues related to construction, we will put on the portal, we'll put on the TVs, and we will post signs. And that is it. Does anyone have any questions?
Jennifer, could you speak to what's being done in our main kitchen that has required the modular kitchen?
Sure. So sure. So what is being done in Springmore's kitchen that we need the modular unit? So we are getting a new kitchen. We are getting a new dish machine. We are getting new ovens, steamers, equipment. They are redoing the walls. They're putting up metal to make it easier to clean. They're redoing the floors, the ceilings, replacing hand sinks, pretty much a full renovation. The footprint will not get bigger, but everything will be updated, clean, and neat. It's been 35 years, so it's time. Yes? Okay, how long will this all take? We're hoping it's going to be 8 weeks. It could be longer, it could be shorter. It all depends on when they start construction, if there's any issues that we weren't planning on. But hopefully it'll be 8 weeks. Mhm.
Is there any accommodation for curtain? I'm visualizing a driving rain and trying to cart food back and forth.
Yeah, so the walkway, does it have a curtain? No, it does not. They didn't require it, but if it does rain and it's more than a sprinkle, we can also hang some plastic up and make sure that our staff isn't getting wet and the food isn't getting wet. They will be in enclosed carts, the food, but yeah, we'll protect our staff. So if there's any rainstorms coming, snow, anything like that, we'll put something up to protect them. Yes?
About how many weeks do you think we will be using the temporary unit?
How long will we be using the temporary unit? Well, construction is planned for 8 weeks. And then once construction is done in the Springmore kitchen, we still have to have the county come back, inspect everything, and give us the approval to go back in. So it could be, possibly 3 months out in that kitchen.
And I'll say that's a pretty short time. I know I know it sounds long, but Crowsdale Village in Durham, which is about the same size as us, actually maybe 50 more residents than us, actually did this not too long ago, and theirs was down for about 18 months. But they did, they added on and did a much more elaborate expansion to where we're renovating what we have. So it's what we're doing is pretty short term compared to this. Glen Eyre, again, I mentioned we talked very closely with. They actually recommended kitchens to go to them, and they're going to be using them, and they're going to be down for at least 6 to 8 months when they do their kitchen renovation. So it all depends on what the project entails. So, but Jennifer's right. It could be 3 months. It could be. It's not going to be shorter than 8 weeks, probably. But yeah, it's a shorter time compared to what other communities and hospitals or colleges have done in the past. So if that makes you feel any better, I don't know, but it's it's a little shorter.
Any other questions? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was very good. Yeah, that was awesome. So I didn't even know Jennifer was going to do these pictures, which is a cool surprise. I got an email this morning, and I was like, she's like, you mind if I show pictures? I was like, that's great. Make sure Daniel knows. She said, I already talked to him, so that's awesome. So thank you for doing that. The modular kitchen's really nice. It's much nicer than our kitchen now, and actually a little bigger. So I think they're going to get spoiled in there. It's the creme de la creme of portable kitchens, but we have to have it. I mean, we do about almost 1,000 meals a day. I mean, if you think about 1,000 meals a day, that's a lot of food. The good thing is the grills will not be affected, and the serving line over in North Village will not be affected. The goal is like inclement weather for y'all not to see a difference in the service. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to see a slight difference, but that's our goal. We are going to have to use paper plates. Well, not paper plates, really nice Chinette type plates and plastic glasses, but we're still going to have real silverware. The recyclable as well, so that was important. We've talked to other communities, Forest at Duke and Crowsdale. They've all used the plastic plates. It's just to have a dishwasher in there, it doesn't fit. It'd be a tiny unit. We wouldn't be able to turn over the amount of dishes. We can do the silverware because they're smaller and lay them in bins, and we can use the wash machines in the health center to do that. And we thought the silverware was much more important than plates. She's got some ideas of how to make sure we keep the food warm and things of that nature. So I'm not saying it's going to be seamless, but we have worked very hard to make it, to not change the menu, to do as much as we can. It's just going to be, I'm sure by the time it's getting close to the end, y'all be ready to get back. But I think y'all will be hopefully surprised and pleased on how much we've kept it the same. So thanks, Jennifer. That's awesome. So we're kind of here at the end, which is perfect. It usually ends about 11:30. So if there's any questions in general, I can ask about anything, Mr. Murphy.
This is not as much a question as it is a compliment
Okay.
with the people here. One of the things that we noticed, you people in the back, you haven't been able to read but half of the screen. And the reason for that, with the exception of Fred, but anytime, particularly during the movies, whenever they have the writing on the bottom, if you're not on the front row, you just can't see it. I've talked to Brandon about this, and Brandon has gotten to some of his technical people, and they have found a solution. And the solution is that it will move it up, and luckily, the ceiling, it goes up, so if you move it up, you'll be able to see it better. There may be some complications with it, but I want you to know that they looked into it and they found a solution. And thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I try, as y'all hope y'all know, I try to fix and do as much as possible. Not me personally. I mean, I have to rely on a lot of people. But I do know that but I know that's important. I know this is used a lot. If I lived here, I'd want to be able to see what they're saying at the bottom. You know, I only speak English, so I don't know the other. But when Mr. Murphy brought those, that's a very plausible thing. So there are a lot of things that people bring that are very plausible, and you know, we don't have to do $10,000 worth of work to make that happen. But somebody much smarter than me on this stuff, Daniel and Richard, they've got it, and we're working on it. So yeah, I mean, we want to make this. I hope y'all know to make y'all's life as good as possible. So anything like that, you know, let us know. Thanks for sharing that. What other questions y'all have?
Just an observation, but it's going to take time to move these portable units back out. And so that impacts parking, which I think some of us are already noticing, that some of the parking spaces are gone temporarily. So just realizing that it's going to take a little longer, even after the kitchen is working, to get the facilities, temporary facilities out so that things will return to how they used to be. We'll have plenty of parking out front.
Yeah, we've worked hard to try and send out a memo a while back about starting that and addressing that. It has taken up parking spaces, so the Springmore vehicles are having to be parked somewhere else. We've had to take, which is fine, employee number of parking spots for residents to use. Some of the nurses down in supportive living, they used to park down there. So we tried to take all the spots back that were reserved for other people for residents to use, including the visitor spots. So if it says visitor, that's y'all. So just jump on all those. So we tried to do that. It's actually worked out, knock on wood, a lot better than I thought. I think I've had one call about it. So it's kind of, and then people may be parking up front if they don't go out as much. So we tried to do the best we can. I think it's going about as well as it can. So it's a good point, though. What else? Somebody got something? Trying to think something else I could share with y'all. Something. Yes, Miss Barnes, you can go. Yes, sir. Yeah. So Mr. Robinson had brought that up to me about the News and Observer. I realize that y'all are paying all of these different prices. It's again, I dropped mine, and maybe I need to call him barter back, you know, and try to get a lower. But Mr. Robinson was saying he called 3 times, and 3 times to finally get a rate that he was comfortable with. So it went from like $430 to $400 to a little over almost $100 some odd dollars. So I think you were telling me, Mr. Robinson, that just saying that having call back and keep or having us try to voice our opinion as well, or.
You have to be prepared to not renew, because we've had a friend
Yeah.
who said that they were renewed, they didn't know better, they renewed at $400 a year, and we had one friend that renewed at $700 a year. And if you call the customer service line, you talk to a call center in Manila, Philippines.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And the best that they
Yeah. So that point, that's right, Mr. Robinson. So yeah, you got to say you're not renewing. We kind of do that with our cable back home, or at least my wife does. But it's you have to be kind of firm with them. It's just like I said, we tried at one point to call and say, hey, give everybody the same rate. Oh no, this Mr. Murphy's had it for 30 years. He gets a great rate, and Mr. Overcash, he's just had it for 2 weeks, so he gets to today's price, But I tried to work that out where it'd be beneficial to everybody, and I mean, you're right. It's like talking to somebody they don't get it or comprehend it. So, but just kind of stay firm with it. It is a pain. I don't know. I don't know if y'all use I have the app on my phone. It's pretty good. I mean, may not get every detailed story, but the app's pretty darn good. A lot of people I know, Miss Peg, she canceled it. She went to the digital version, so it looks like the digital version on the computer, which is much cheaper. So there's other ways. I'm like y'all in the fact I like to actually hold a newspaper. I look at the computer long enough. I want to hold the newspaper. There's cool things in there you don't see online. I don't know if it'd be an ad or something about a place I've never heard of in Wendell or something, you don't see on the internet, but the app's really good if you want to get a good. So the app, you can just go to your Apple, to whatever your app stores, whatever phone you have, and just type in News and Observer. Yeah, and it has like a big and sign. It's just red with a big and sign. You click on it, and it has, up-to-date latest news. It's got local, national sports, and I mean, it covers the majority of it. It may not have the one little specific story that you may get in there, but it has a lot, and it's all free, so. Does it? Yes, she said yes, it does.
Also available on your computer.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. So, yes, sir, Mr. Ratzinger.
The whole newspaper on there for $50 a year.
Oh, on the.
You get an exact, you turn the page, just like you turn the newspaper.
So hear that? Yep, $50 to have the electronic version of it. Looks like the newspaper, and you're turning it. Pretty good deal. Good. Yes, sir, Mr. Overcash. Yeah, I'll let Mr. Matzinger answer that. I don't know. The app's pretty up to date. The app's up to date, so. I figure between, and I used to be a big news junkie when I was younger, and I don't have enough time, and I don't know, I get frustrated with the news, but between 680, my radio station, which I love, and the app on the phone, and I get a Triangle Business Journal email every day. I feel like I'm pretty in tune with what's going on, so that was one of the reasons I ditched the paper. But yes, sir, Mr. Callaway. You go online and renew it? Pretty good deal. So Mr. Callaway said his experience is that when he would go to renew it, he would do it online, and he's been able to get it for $135 a year for the past 3 years, and that included the electronic version. And I think once you do pay for the electronic the print version, you get the electronic version free, but some people just want the electronic version, so. Yes, it's weird. All right, well, maybe I should quit while the going's good. Unscathed, but anything else I can do for you? Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone asked about the Real ID? There's sometime this year, we have to get new driver's license or state ID cards in order to travel up to the passport. So I understand they have mobile units and stuff. I don't know if you might be kind enough to look into that.
Yes, I've had Tracy in the front office look into that. I'm trying to remember what she told me. They hadn't came out here yet, so apparently she didn't get the ultimate in. The question was that throughout this sometime this year, we have to have the Real ID, and that's to travel. Is that
State for a driver's license or state ID card that we use to board aircraft to go to the federal facilities. And the ones we have now are not the right ones. They're new.
yeah?
And we have to get them in 2020. And I understand that they have mobile vans and stuff that go around communities like ours to help. Is it
Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah, so that's a great point. So I'll reach out to Tracy again to see about having a mobile unit come out. We did find out about that, to where it would be here for half a day or all day, and we'd get y'all out there. They could do it right on site. So I need to do that myself, actually. So yes, that's right. If you've seen me feverishly over here typing, I've been working on the memorandum. You may get it tomorrow, but it may still be Monday. I don't know yet. So, but I can't add that in there. So, all right. Well, thank y'all so much for coming. It's always a great crowd, and if we can ever be of help, you know where we're at. So, thank y'all.